So ask yourself, what would you be doing right now if you had $30 million? If you had $30 million after all of that happened, what would something that would be like an absolute 100% thing that you would be doing? In this video, I'm going to share with you a true story using the law of assumption, which actually took effect in a few hours after using the law of assumption. This is a story my grandfather shared with me years ago, but I'm sharing with you guys right now. This is a story where my mother injured her foot. She was running down the stairs and she stepped on a mayonnaise glass or a mayonnaise jar. She was running down the stairs full speed. She was playing in a ball. She was chasing a ball down the stairs, and at the bottom of the stairs was a jar of mayonnaise. And my mother stepped on it as she was running down the stairs, and the jar broke, and a piece of glass shot right up through the middle of her foot and actually severed, and where it tore all of the ligaments in her foot. And my grandfather at that time when it happened was in his office working, and he overheard my mother's cries and screams. Of course, she was in so much pain from this. My grandfather ran down the stairs, found her, tried to stop the bleeding. They rushed my mom to the hospital to repair her foot, and then they sewed her foot up, they stitched her foot up, they put everything back together. But after they did that, my grandfather was talking to these physicians about the injury, and they told my grandfather, due to the severity of the tendons being torn the way that they were completely, that there was absolutely no chance that my mother would be able to walk conventionally again on that foot, that the foot would remain, but there's no way that she would be able to do things with that foot, like walk or do anything that a normal child would do with a normal foot. So then my grandfather completely disregarded what the doctors had said, because my grandfather at that time, he was going to see Neville Goddard twice a week. He was going to the back of the Wilshire Ebell Theater. This is when he had his Arthur Murray dance studios. This is when, at his prime. So, and he knew exactly what this world is, and he was studying consciousness, and he knew exactly how everything worked. And he was very, very close with Neville Goddard. So after hearing all this and disregarding what the doctors had said, and knowing that with imagination that you can do anything, you could fix anything, you can repair anything, you can do anything that you want, which he actually was experiencing in his life, like a lot at that point in time. So he disregarded what the doctor said, and he went to a prayer chapel that was about a half a mile down the road from the hospital. So he goes to this prayer chapel and he visualizes. He tells me this. He didn't tell me he went to a church, but I later found out that he actually did go to church from my grandmother. So my grandfather goes into this prayer chapel where it's quiet and everybody's just praying. So he just wanted to find a place where it would be quiet, where he can visualize. Okay, so he told me that he went into this prayer chapel and he visualized, he created a scene where he was at a park with my mother. And she was the same age. My mother was about 5 years old at this time. And he visualized her about the same age, but he visualized her jumping up and down. He told me that he created a scene, and he did this for about an hour straight in this prayer chapel. He visualized my mother doing all these activities that would imply that her foot was working just fine. Jumping up and down, the jump rope, running, jogging, doing backflips, whatever it was. He said he just went through a series of different activities that implied that my mother had a fully functional foot, and the event was taking place later, like in the future. Like he created it in the future, like 3 months from now. So after he created this, he did this for 1 hour. He went back to the hospital. And he said the most amazing thing happened when he went back to check on my mother at the hospital after his visualization, after his meditation using the law of assumption. He said that the doctor that was previously at the hospital that was working on my mother, that actually took her into surgery, there was a different physician there now. So when he went to see my mother, this physician came out and talked to him and said that if she wears this cast, there was a cast that she needed to wear for a few months. If she wears this cast, she will be able to walk again. And there's no question, but she has to wear this cast for this amount of, I don't know exactly the amount of months it was, but it was a few months that she would have to wear this cast. And this physician said that she would be able to walk again and that she would have a full recovery of her foot. And to this day, my mother walks just fine. She walks just fine. She lives right down the street from me, actually. And she made a full recovery. When they took the cast off a few months later, she was walking just fine, never ever had any issues with her foot ever again. So the reason why I wanted to share this story with you is my grandfather didn't actually create or change a scene. He didn't change what the doctor said to him. He didn't go in and actually attack the thing directly. He actually attacked it indirectly by pushing something ahead that would imply that she could walk, like watching her jump up and down. This is a very important topic. And I believe that this is a very powerful technique, is because you're pushing it ahead and you're attacking it indirectly, and you're not creating excitement. You're creating more relief. So when he's watching, he's more of a natural event that's taking place, because he's watching her jump up and down. They're at a park. That's a natural thing to do at a park. So he was doing something that's natural to him seeing. It's not changing what the doctor said or changing something directly with the incident itself, but just watching her jump up and down, implying that her foot was just fine, and then impressing that with his subconscious mind deep in sats. Because when he was at the church, he went deep into sat. He went deep into flow state, where he was like in the middle of in the drift. He didn't completely fall asleep, which you don't have to completely fall asleep. If you have this focus, if you have this ability through practice to get in this state that's in between consciousness and unconsciousness, which is the subconscious. And if you have enough practice, you can actually do this at will. I've done this so many times that it actually works for me. I can actually do it standing up, where I can be in the middle of being conscious and being unconscious and get into this flow state where my ego is completely disconnected and I connect with it. But anyone can get into this state. But my grandfather got into this state, and he was watching my mother jump up and down, something that implied that her foot was fine, that she was completely healed. So ask yourself, what would you be doing right now if you had $30 million? If you had $30 million after all of that happened, what would something that would be like an absolute 100% thing that you would be doing had you already had that money? Don't attack it directly. Look ahead, find something indirect, something that would have to make sense, something that would have to imply that you now had $30 million, or you had more money than you could spend. Don't even put a number on it. Just say, I am so relieved now that I have more money than I could ever spend. Don't put a number on it. Sometimes a number can actually limit you. So just say something like that. If you're using affirmations, don't put a number on it. Just say, I'm so relieved now. I have that feeling of relief of having more money than I could ever spend. Say that to yourself instead of using a number, but attack it indirectly, like what he did with this scenario, which is very, very powerful. Something that implies, that would have to 100% imply that your wish was fulfilled. Something that would 100% imply, kind of like what he did with my mother. She's jumping up and down. The doctors just told him that she'll never walk again. So he imagined and visualized in sats that she's jumping up and down, jump rope, doing backflips, doing all these things, jumping off the swing set at the park. He goes back there, and then a new doctor tells her if she wears this cast for a few months, she will be able to walk in. Her foot will be just fine. There's no coincidences there to me. That's exactly what happened due to his visualization at that church. And that's exactly what he did, and it's exactly what works, and it can work for anyone practicing this. And I wanted to share this because of that indirectness of it. And he could have just changed what the doctor said. He could have visualized the doctor saying exactly what he did say. He could have visualized the doctor saying, "Oh, if she wears this cast for 3 months, then she'll be fine," and then picturing a new doctor. He didn't do that, but that's what created that to happen. When he saw her and he visualized my mother jumping up and down with her foot being 100%, that caused the world to change. That caused him to transfer into another parallel reality where her foot was going to be fine. There was a new doctor that was brought in from somewhere. Something had to happen. Something magical had to happen in order for that to take place. Him seeing her jumping up and down implied that, and that's why all of this other stuff happened. So he transferred to a different parallel reality, and you could do this with anything. And just with relationships, a new physique, a certain amount of money, being rich, being wealthy, being comfortable, being happy, being grateful, anything that you want to use this for, just think about that. Think about this, meditate on this. And if anyone has their own testimonials like this, Let me know in the comment box below right now and share them with everyone. All right, guys, I love you guys. And don't forget to be one thing you guys are grateful for as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video.